All right. Good afternoon. Good morning. I don't know what time it is right now that you're listening to the show, but we've come to you today with our third podcast from the real estate playground. Today, we're going to be discussing from listing to closing the entire sales process, the entire home selling, the complete home selling
I
process,
guess just the whole damn
the
process.
whole
Let's just
damn thing, the whole thing from beginning to end, alpha to omega.
yeah,
How about that? Is that good?
I'm good with that.
All right. We're back, but we're excited to be here. Had a tremendous show last week, and we're hoping to follow that up with another one today, right, Todd? But what can you tell us about the home selling process?
Well, I mean, as far as the home process goes, I feel like we're obviously trying to branch out to anyone who is trying to list their home, or this is your first time selling your property, to any new realtors that may be coming into the business that may not know exactly the entire process that goes into selling a home. So I feel like this is just a way for us to elaborate, discuss. Some may already know the process, which is fine. This is
Mm,
just a little refresher course, but I do think that there is a step-by-step process that you kind of want to build off of to make sure that you're covering all your bases when listing the home, from the prep phase
right.
to the closing phase.
Well, and I like what you said about the prep phase. I think that's the most important part
It
is
is.
preparing your home to get sold.
Right.
I've been in many listings that I have taken my clients in, and I've been a little embarrassed. And of course, I've also had a listing or two that I couldn't get the seller to do certain things. That was earlier in my career. I try not to take those kind of listings anymore, but sometimes everybody needs help, and sometimes it's not feasible or affordable for that particular home seller. So it's really important, though, up front to get that house in a marketable condition to protect their equity.
Well, and I think to play off of that as well, it also comes down to timing. I feel like, when is the right time to sell? You obviously want to make sure that no matter where you're located at, that the market is in good favor of the time that you're
Right.
looking to
Right.
sell your property.
Well, that's like that ancient old question, right? Is the market good?
Mhm.
And the answer to that question is, you know,
Go ahead. You wanna try and quiz me?
the answer to the question is it depends. Are you a buyer or seller?
Sure.
And for a long time here locally, it's been a little better for the seller, but we're starting to see a little turn in that. So it's important that when sellers are getting ready to sell, especially if they have to sell, you never lose money on a real estate investment if you sell at the right time.
Right.
But there are some people that have to sell due to their life circumstances, due to their military orders. So there's some different things you can do. I mean, they can always put that house in property management, let the equity build up, let the market recover. But some people just don't want to deal with that. So they just sell it.
Right.
But it's important to get it ready.
Well, and I think also in the prep phase, obviously, it's not just picking the timing for it, but making sure that you have all of your things in order. You wanna make sure that you have a realtor in mind, or if you're planning on doing a first sell by owner,
Hmm.
I obviously am going to personally, my own personal preference is gonna be to say hire a realtor.
Don't sell by owner.
Don't do that. I do think that there are some that, yes, I mean, if doing a first sell by owner makes you feel more comfortable, I do also think too, it's one of those things where it's education. Realtors bring a lot to the table. I know that everyone thinks that we're money hungry and that we're just out there to collect a paycheck, and that's not necessarily true. I mean, yes, obviously we got bills to pay too, but I do feel like for sell by owners, it's great. You have the knowledge, you have the idea that you know, that you can do this, and this. But realtors are there to help you along that process with negotiating, making sure that you're getting the most bank out of your property investment,
Right.
making sure that you have the proper documentation that you need legally. Because, I mean, let's say residential property disclosure. For those that don't know, obviously that's a full description of everything about your home, your property. You want to make sure that any buyer that's coming along is aware of what they're purchasing.
I agree. I agree. And you know, here's the thing about that residential property disclosures. I sat on the forms committee for some service for NCR
Mhm.
after I finished up at the Leadership Academy, and I learned so much there. And one of the things that the attorney, he's an attorney for NC Realtors. One of the things that he mentioned is that having a properly filled out and detailed North Carolina Property Disclosures Owners Association statement, RPODS, as it's commonly referred to,
Mhm.
is actually an improvement to the property, which means that the more it's filled out and the more accurate it is, the more valuable the property is.
Well, and I'd also like to talk to some of the other realtors in different states as well. Like, what do you guys use for your documentation when it comes to that? Do you guys have something
That's a great
similar
question.
to our residential property disclosure, or
That's
do
a
you,
great
you
question.
know, do you use the same thing? Do you have something different? We'd love to hear from you. So please leave feedback.
I bought a house in Ohio a few years ago, and I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Well, and I know that
I have to
most,
double check though, and so
Right.
much paperwork gets thrown at you.
well, and that's the thing too. Every state has different documentation,
Yeah.
different length in their contracts. I mean, just today we went over forms talking about how our new listing agreement, the exclusive right to sell listing
Yes.
agreement, went from 13 pages down to 7 pages.
Yes.
So obviously there's things that are being taken out.
That is
things
one
being
thing I
put
fussed
in.
about at the Forms Committee. So,
But
I don't know if they changed it because of me, but I did fuss about it. It was like when I got in this business, the offer to purchase and contract at that time was 5 pages, and now it's what is it now, 17?
Mhm.
That's a lot.
Well, and obviously we'll have the form changes again in June, July timeframe.
So now it's back to 7, but it'll be 12 before that. All right. Anyway, maybe not. Maybe not.
Well, and going back to what we were talking about. So obviously picking the right time to sell, make sure that you're either hiring a realtor or you have all of your ducks in a row if you plan to go for sell by owner. What goes next into that step process?
Into what do you mean? You said
I mean, as far as the
the
step-by-step
prep,
process
like
goes,
after
I
you
mean,
prep it?
you go into home prep. Is your home ready
Hmm.
to be put on the market?
Right.
So what do you think we should be? Well, I'm not going to say what we should be. I would say as
Get rid
far
of your
as,
junk.
well,
Get rid of the stuff that's in your house that you haven't even looked at or pulled out of the garage in 7 years.
well, and this is obviously before they hire the realtor. Like you want like if you plan to sell your home, you obviously want to make sure that your home is in the best condition it can be
Yes.
before you actually get it put onto the market and start getting it advertised. Because I swear by this, I always tell my clients, whatever you leave out there for photography is what the entire public is
It's
going to
gonna
see.
see it. It's gonna
Because
see
when
it.
we put it out on the multiple listing service known as the MLS,
Mhm.
it shot out to over 600 different websites worldwide.
It's at 600 now.
Well, I think it's a little bit more. I just always reference 600. I mean, you
Okay.
got everything: homes,
Yeah,
hot
yeah,
pads,
yeah, yeah.
apartments, Zillow,
It's
Truly,
crazy.
Realtor. Just keep going.
It's crazy that how that syndication works, right?
Mhm. I like
Really
it though.
change the game, man.
It makes it easier for sellers, but it also makes it easier on us as well.
Yeah,
Able
I
to
mean,
get
get
it
that
out quickly.
exposure. Get that exposure.
But I would say for home prep, obviously, make sure you're cleaning, make sure you're decluttering. You want to make sure that if a buyer is coming in, that they're able to visually see what they're buying. It does no good if you have a big gaping hole on the wall, but you've got a sofa covering it up.
What's wrong with that? I mean, you just have to make sure that furniture is there at the final walkthrough.
True. It's got to come with the house.
No, I think that's important. And then the other thing too is there are some value add items too. There's some things
Upgrades.
there's some upgrades, there's some things you can do to the house that will actually help the house sell for more and cause the buyers to ask for less concessions.
What are some examples of some upgrades you think that would add value?
Well, any kind of kitchen or bathroom remodel, those add value. Things like privacy fencing, those add value. Higher end appliances don't necessarily add value, but they can help you get that better offer. And it might come down to one house versus the other. And buyer A says to their partner, hey, that house had way nicer appliances, and I think we should pick that one.
But would you say that there's also a upgrade that adds value, but then there's what people think add value, but it just adds buyer appeal?
Yeah, I mean, people think that because you put a new roof on a house that it adds value.
Well, I think it does add
It
value.
doesn't. It doesn't
Really?
add value. It's supposed to be functional.
I've always seen it on appraisals that it would add value.
It's functional. Like the roof has to be serviceable in a house.
That is true.
So if I'm a buyer and I go buy a house that the roof is questionable, and on the appraisal they call the roof, the seller's usually stuck putting that roof on, and it doesn't get them more money.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think and I say it because I've had appraisals where they just had the roof installed And so obviously compared to the
Right.
comp properties,
Yes.
that new roof would add additional value to the home. But I think that
Yes.
also comes with
There's
the
some
age of
there.
the home as well.
There's the same thing, but the same thing applies to stuff like HVAC. Just because you just put a brand new HVAC on your home, it doesn't mean that it's going to add value to your house. Like you're not going to go spend $12,000 on an HVAC in your house that comps out at 249. You're not going to find the comps at 265.
That's true. Which
So-
to add on to that as
But
well.
you need an HVAC that's serviceable,
Right.
because otherwise you're going to get dinged as the seller. You're going to end up paying for the HVAC anyways, or you're going to get, they're going to nickel and dime you to death for repairs during this next process that is a little further down the line in the complete home selling process.
Well, and I think too, you've got a lot of sellers that think that, oh, I put this much into this, I'm going to get that much back out of it.
Oh yeah,
Doesn't necessarily
those
happen.
palm
that way.
trees that they put in the back that they paid $3,000 for.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, over on my desk right now, Carrie could go over there and grab it. There is a list from a seller, which the sad part about this is this particular seller is actually a contractor, a commercial contractor, and he upgraded the hell out of his house. I'm talking every upgrade you could think, this house has it. And he wants to give me that list, and it says $164,000 in upgrades. I'm going, okay.
Look, we get it. We know
Really
you
cool.
love your home. We know
Really
that you
cool,
think it's
thanks.
expensive. Yeah.
But it does not. I mean, look, is that house going to pull more than the house next door? Probably.
Sure.
But dollar for dollar, it's not even going to be close.
Right.
It's not even going to be 50%, maybe 20% more, maybe.
And repairs is a huge thing too,
Yeah.
because the more that you can get done and cover, the more things you can get repaired prior to putting your home on the market, the easier it's going to make your life when inspections are done, when the appraisal comes down. Like I said, not
Yeah.
sure what other states have as far as their policies go.
Right.
I know here in North Carolina, that's a big thing, is we have appraisers that still call repairs to be able to release that value on a home.
Especially for certain type of homes, right?
Absolutely.
Certain type of loan products.
Yep.
That's crazy. The other thing too that really helps a home sell, clean.
Yes.
But a house has to be clean.
Yes.
If I go into a house and the ceiling fans have caked up dust, that tells me as a home buyer, hey, they didn't take very good care of this house. What else is wrong with it? So as a selling agent, when I have that discussion, it's very sensitive, but I'm also very direct. If you want to sell your house and you want to get the most money that you can get for your house, at a minimum, it has to be clean.
I agree.
If you don't do anything else, clean your house, please,
well,
before we come over.
I would say, obviously, you want to make sure that the home is well put together, especially if you have decided that you are going to hire a realtor. You schedule the appointment. We're going to come over. We're going to do a listing consultation with you.
Love that word.
The biggest thing is I don't know how you do your process. Obviously, we're going to do things a little bit different,
of course,
but
we're
as
different.
long as all bases are covered, I feel like we're good. One of the first things I do is, it depends on the comfortability, I think, of the client that you're meeting,
Sure.
whether they want to sit down, go over documentation first. But what I like to do is give me a tour.
Yeah.
Let me
First
see the
hand.
home. I always try to advise my clients that I'm not here to judge your home. I don't live here. We all live differently,
I'm going to judge your home.
but I do give constructive criticism.
For
because
sure.
my job is to make sure that I can get you the best profit for your investment. That's the whole reason why you purchased, right? You want to make money off of your investment.
Mhm.
So I go through, you give me the tour, I point things out, I ask questions. What is that? Where did you get that? Why is this here?
Mhm.
If
Any
it-
leaks here, any leaks there,
Absolutely.
any moisture here.
You know, is this item leased and not owned? Are you making
Great
payments
question.
on that
Oh my
refrigerator?
gosh, great question.
Look,
It's so complicated, right? Like, well, it's not complicated, but there's a lot to know.
I had a
lot to-
client, they
and a lot to
did
discover.
not specify to me that they were still making payments on their refrigerator because they had leased it from Best Buy.
Oh my God.
And they were like, all appliances are going to stay, the refrigerator's going to stay. It's
But-
cool. We got it taken care of.
They
But
had to buy the lease out, right? Before they
yeah,
closed.
they had to finish paying it off.
Did they leave the fridge?
They did.
Nice.
But
Same
that's
thing
the
happened to
biggest
me with the
thing.
water softener.
Guy
Guy tells me, hey, I'm going to take the water softener with me. I'm like, all right, no problem. Well, 2 days before closing, he calls me up and he goes, Ray, this damn thing is a pain in the ass to get off of here. And I'm having trouble with it, so I'm just going to have to leave it here. I'm like, Okay. He owed like $200 on it.
Well, when I first got into real estate, the water softeners seemed to always be the one thing that would slip my mind that you didn't ask, and it would always come up when they did the title work.
He asked for the buyer to pay for it,
Ah,
which I have a duty to go to that buyer's agent and present that to them, right?
right.
But in my mind, I'm going, dude, they're not going to do that right now. They don't have to. And it's just not a good investment, in my opinion. But
Well, do you do your walkthrough first, or you do documentation first?
I'm a little different in my whole process.
Okay.
Um, 90% of the calls that I get are people that I already know and I've already been to their house.
That's fair.
But I do a
Referrals?
walkthrough. I do not do a 2-visit approach. I do try to go to the home and obtain the listing agreement on the spot. That just leaves, for me, that leaves less chances of somebody slipping in and taking the listing tomorrow morning.
Right.
Um,
Keep that in mind, new realtors out there.
yes. But I do provide a little value before I arrive. I send a really nice package of information and I explain to them before the package comes, the pricing that I'm putting in here is not the be all end all. We will work together.
A rough estimate.
This is an estimate based off of what was available to me online and through websites and public records.
Well, and I say the same thing until I can see the actual
Yes.
condition of the home. I can't give you an exact number.
Dude, I showed up at a listing in Hubert one time, and as soon as I walked through the door, I told the lady, I said, "Look," I said, "Ma'am," I said, "just take that book and throw it in the garbage.
I remember you saying something about that. Yeah.
Take this book and throw it in the garbage," because it was so pristine. They had an in-ground pool in the back. It was like a botanic garden back there. Is that the right word? Botanic?
Botanical. Yeah.
That's botanical.
Or
Not
oasis.
botanic?
You can say
An oasis.
Yeah.
Not botanic? What's botanic? Is that like some good stuff
No,
you can buy in
botanical is
Colorado?
like a botanical garden. It's like tropical.
So it is
plants,
botanic.
unless it's an oasis, and then it's just really nice land.
So what's the difference between botanic and botanical?
I don't know.
Botanical garden. It was really nice.
Okay.
So I go there and then I do the same thing you do. I have them take me for a tour of the house, tell them, hey, what do you love about your property? Show me. And they take me around, show me the property. I sit down with them and ask them 3 very simple questions. And
What are those 3 simple questions?
you may share that. You'll have to.
You want to keep that to yourself?
Well,
Is that your
well,
strategy?
let me tell you. No. I will share that with every single agent that comes and works with Remax. I will not share that publicly because I want people to come here and get this training.
Well, there you have it. If you want Ray's strategy, you need to come to Remax.
It's fair, right?
Hey, my strategy is my own. Your strategy is your own.
I think it's fair.
But I do think all realtors have their own tactics of when they go in, what they do, what their process is. As long as you are doing what you're supposed to legally, you
And
can do your
ethically, right?
process correct. And
ethically,
thing.
it's not more important than legally, but I mean, because you can do something that's legal that could be considered unethical. And that's really important as a real estate agent, because we are sworn by that code of ethics, which earlier in my career, I didn't take the code of ethics to heart as I did later in my career, as I started getting some training and some guidance and some mentoring from
and some experience too.
some experience. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Important. Little rabbit trail there, but I think it's important.
I agree. So if we've covered the prep phase,
Yeah.
we've
You're
covered
getting excited.
basically, we've talked about home prep.
Yeah.
What would you say is next on the list?
I mean, I think next on the list is getting the home on the market and actually marketing that property, marketing to the masses.
To me, marketing is the most crucial part of everything. This is where you really shine. You show why they hired you. You show your importance to the deal. And all of that comes with all of the different types of marketing that you do, whether it's social media marketing, advertising, newsletters, postcards, things like that. But then also you want to think about professional photography. You and I had a discussion a couple months ago. I remember us talking about how vital, like you said, professional photography is to a listing.
The $1.7 million house with iPhone photos.
Yeah, not going to happen.
I mean,
Shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen. I mean,
but it does.
And I don't know why.
And I don't
know why.
And I won't shame anybody for it. I get it. If you are a newer realtor, yes, you're going to be a little bit more on a budget because we know everything is expensive when you first come in the business. However, when you see the price tag that's going to be put on this home, are you doing a disservice by using an iPhone,
Right.
Android,
Of course you
camera
are.
phone?
Of course you are. I actually have a really old head story to tell if we could tell a story on the playground today.
Great. Go ahead.
So I came in this industry in this community almost 20 years ago, right? And back then, everybody was taking their own photos. Very few agents in this marketplace were doing any professional photos. There weren't all these different professional photo options and measurements and all that stuff. It did not exist.
Yeah.
So
It's changed.
a whole job field was created by the real estate industry for professional photography, virtual tours, Matterport, all that. But the person that I give the credit to is actually Adam Kiefer from what's the name of his
360.
company? 360 Homes. Adam worked for me as a younger real estate agent. I used to be in the Marine Corps with him, and he worked at my real estate firm, one of the first firms I ever owned. And we hooked up with this guy at Pineapple Studios, this crazy dude named Mike. He was like a mad scientist with his photographs. He did family photographs, but then I think as that, because that's starting to phase out too, where it's like the Olin Mills photos or you go to Sears with your family and take the photos.
Oh my
Like,
Lord.
all that stuff's going away. Now people
Did
are
you
doing
do that with your family?
Of course, I have one with my mom and my brothers. You should see it. I'll bring it to the next episode.
What was it? That and the glamour shots they were doing in the
Oh,
mall.
I never did glamour shots.
My
There
mom
we
did.
go.
I love you, Mom. If you're watching this, I still have her glamour shot photo in my
Nice.
garage.
Well, you look for yours, and I'll look for mine of me and my mom and my brothers, dude. It's ridiculous. We look so poor. We
Oh,
look so poor.
a
But
then
yeah.
and now photo.
Yeah. Still look poor though. But the point I'm trying to make is my firm at the time, we set the tone for professional photos in the marketplace. That is a fact.
Really?
It's a fact, and I'll argue with anybody.
Hey, I didn't know that, so I can't argue with you.
See, don't argue with me.
But I mean,
But it was pretty cool, right? Because then everybody started doing professional photos, but then we would go in listing appointments and be like, "Hey, here's their photos," and we would have like screenshots of their photos, and then we would show, "Here's our photos," and that helped us get listings too because we had professional photographs.
well, let's say too, like even throughout the years, I mean, look at what technology has done for marketing as
Oh,
well
yeah.
for consumers,
Crazy.
sellers, realtors. You've now
And the
got,
listing syndication alone is
Yep.
just nutty.
but you have drone views now where you can get aerial shots of the entire subdivision, what amenities it has to offer. Is it close to a river, lake, ocean,
Yep.
things like that. But then you also have virtual tours
Yeah.
that can be done, not just your Skype and your Zoom, but you have virtual tours, 3D version virtual tours where you can actually literally step by step walk through the
There's
home.
so many options out there for these
There's
guys.
so much value to your listing, to that property.
Yeah, I agree.
Makes it stand out like it's famous.
Who pays for that usually? The real estate agent, right?
This guy,
So
the realtor.
So if you're a seller and you're listening and you're considering hiring an agent, and as we all know, real estate fees and commissions are negotiable.
Well, and I include that in my services.
But you have to understand that many realtors are also spending a very large portion of that money on the marketing.
Correct.
So before it goes into their coffers, it's already pilfered through by marketing and those kind of things, and also through their broker. So just think about that.
Yeah. What would you say about open houses?
Uh,
I mean, it's another form of marketing the
I'm hit and
property.
miss on open houses. I mean, when I was a young real estate agent, I was trying to get my name out there. I had a big open house. I had a Thanksgiving open house. We cooked some turkeys, and I walked around in a pilgrim outfit, handing out invitations to all the offices. And all the old heads made fun of me. Sue Crutis made fun of me.
I feel like I need proof where it didn't happen.
I have a picture of
Oh,
it. It's on my timeline somewhere. I'll show you. 2 pictures I got to get for you now. We'll get the Olin Mills picture, the Sears picture, and the
we'll
but I think there's value in them, especially if it's a really nice home, man. I think there's opportunity to have that broker open house. I think there's still room for that in the marketplace. And open houses generally, you can create buyers and you can get more sellers as a real estate agent if you're continuously hosting open houses and people see your sign. And
and there's different open houses that you can do as well.
Yeah.
You've got public open houses,
Yeah.
realtor open houses, revolving door open houses.
That's a pretty cool one too. What is that like? You just go
Mhm.
anytime, right? Hey, this house open. Here's
Within
a
a certain
code.
time frame. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I think my first open house, I also cooked. They actually gave me permission to use their
Which man,
kitchen, which I was surprised.
good so you don't get put in the bad behaving realtors class.
Yeah. So I actually did what we called a blooming quesadilla,
Uh,
and it looked like a bunch of roses, but they were quesadillas rolled up. But let me
that's not
tell you, it
good.
was such a great turnout. It was, I mean, and I know everywhere has different turnouts when it comes to open
Right,
houses,
right,
but for our area in this subdivision, it was a great turnout that day. I
right.
ran out of before everyone could even show up.
No, they are certainly an open house is still a very effective tool, marketing tool for a real estate agent and for a seller for sure.
Yeah. Well, and also, and this, just if there is any sellers listening, I mean, that's the whole point of us doing these things is we want to get your property out there and about. We want to get it under contract for you.
That's the name of the game.
So what would be next on the list of things that we would do?
Well, I mean, once we've got the property marketed and we have it positioned properly in the marketplace,
Mhm.
meaning a proper pricing strategy, then we're ready for showings. We're ready to get the lock boxes installed on the property. We're gonna have that ready to be viewed. That'll be the very next thing. And once that happens,
I mean, we probably should have included that talking about
we should have.
marketing it on the property.
Which is another tremendous advantage to using a real estate broker rather than a for sale by owner because we have a system where the lockbox goes on the property. We know who was at your house. We know what time we were there, and the person who has access to the property is vetted.
Yeah.
The scary thing about a for sale by owner is a complete stranger calls you and says, "Hey, can I come over to your house?" And you don't know who that person is come over to your house. At least if Broker Bay calls you, then you know that another real estate agent has interviewed and vetted that person and usually have that person has been pre-qualified financially to buy your house and not waste your time. So hiring a real estate broker does not only save you money in certain things, but it also saves you time. And we all know that for many people, time is money.
Well, and also whether the home is occupied or vacant, somebody
Sure.
is going to be able to approve, decline, and
Yes.
still be able to keep a log of
Yeah.
these showings that are
Yeah.
happening. So if you're
Absolutely.
occupying the home,
Absolutely.
you'll be able to see it. And depending on what type of showing service that you're using, usually there's going to be an accept, decline, or suggested other time
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
showings.
Do you do overlapping showings?
I try not to. I try to be respectful of that person's
I allow
time.
them.
You allow them?
Yeah.
See, and that's where we're different.
I like to allow them because I would love for somebody to be showing my house, and then all of a sudden another realtor pulls up and they're waiting outside to go inside and look at it.
That
But you have
happens
to be
anyways.
respectful, but you have to be respectful of that person that's already there.
Right.
You can't just show up, demand them to hurry up. You need to sit in your car.
Punch
either-
somebody in the face.
Has that happened?
Not me.
Am I
Not me. No.
Oh,
But there has been.
I have heard some.
This is a
some
big reason why I
scuffles.
do not do overlapping showings because you want to be courteous of the realtor in front of you or behind you.
Who was it?
I'm not.
Who punched
We
you in the
don't
face?
name
Say
drop
what it
here in a
was.
bad way.
I did. I name drop. I think it's a good way. We know what kind of realtor will fight for you.
But the point behind it is that obviously you want to make sure, and that's the thing. If they're fighting over your listing,
Hell yeah.
then
You gotta
you
go.
should be
You're
expecting
underpriced.
offer at
We
some
need to put
point.
the price up another $10,000. No, you're exactly right. Look, a well-positioned property in any market will sell,
That's true.
and a well-marketed property, whether the market's good or bad.
Right.
So it's good stuff. But then, so once we were on the market, then we're looking at, receiving those offers.
Yeah,
and
those people
then,
fighting. Someone finally put in an offer on that property.
then we're going to negotiate on behalf of the seller and try to help them get the property sold for terms that are favorable to them.
I agree.
But that's the fun part.
Well, the negotiating part is always my favorite.
Do you like it,
because-
really?
I do. I love it because you don't know what to expect. And ultimately, it is the seller's decision. Our job is to be there to advise them on what would be the smartest decision to make. However, we do not make the decision for you. That is your
Yeah,
investment property. All we can do is educate you and
Yes,
give you
educate. That's the key word. And then brokers, please listen to, if you haven't listened to anything, make sure you leave it between the buyer and seller. I always hate whenever I call back with a counter offer to an agent and I get an earful from them. And they're immediately assuming that the buyers aren't going to do this and the buyers aren't going to accept that. And that's not fair. And
You mean the sellers?
no,
Were you
I'm
talking about
representing the
buyers? Oh, I
seller.
thought you were talking about the sellers not doing
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. And vice versa. It could be said, right? Like
Right.
it's the same thing, but leave it between the buyers and sellers. And when an agent does engage me like that, one thing that I was taught is that you go, hey, listen, I get it, but this is what my seller has requested.
Right.
And as you know, I am bound by real estate law to do whatever is lawful that the seller requests.
Yeah, because we have
So here's what I'm
responsibilities
doing.
to our client.
So go find out. Don't give me a bunch of stuff. Like, stop. Like, just do it. It's okay.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it between the buyers and sellers.
Well,
That's-
and then once obviously the negotiations and everything are over, now you're under contract. That's when the whole process starts. It could
yes.
be as depending on the type of loan, cash offer, things like that. Your process time could be anywhere from 2.5 weeks to a month to 3 months.
And look, just because one offer is $3,000 higher than another, if you have a multiple offer situation, sometimes that offer might not be the best to take.
You know, and that's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up. That is one of the things I would say is not always the highest offer is the best offer.
There's 100 or more other terms that can be put into an offer to purchase. And all those things have to be taken into consideration.
Look, I've seen some great offers where they don't ask for anything and they may come in a little less than what we had it on the market for.
And that's okay.
But also educating, that is the biggest key word I think for the home buying process with it is educating, because
We use that word a lot here.
for a seller as well. If you guys have done the discussions upon putting it on the market to sell the home, this is what you put it on the market for. This is what you're expecting to get out of it. If you get an offer that is giving you what you're asking for, don't sit there and try to collect 13, 15 offers. Am I right or am I wrong? Like this is the way I think.
No,
if you're
you're-
getting what you're asking for, why would you wait to see how many offers you can get?
I personally, it's a
You're
great
wasting
point.
people's time.
It's a great point. I put a renovation project of mine on the market the other day, and we had 8 to 10 showings in the first 48 hours. And I had one agent call me and say, hey, I'm going to bring this offer. And I said, okay. And I canceled every showing that was scheduled afterwards. And I emailed every agent that showed the property. And I said to them, guys, we've had a lot of interest in this property, as you can imagine. It's an RE3 Properties renovation. So, of course, we did. But I'm just kidding. But it's
Go for it. I
but look
encourage
at-
it.
But here's the deal. I didn't want to waste that agent's time.
Right.
But I also wanted to be fair to the other agents who showed the property, and I was the seller. But if I was not the seller and I received that offer in, I need to present that offer right away and see what the seller wants to do.
Right.
And some sellers might say, hey, wait through the weekend. Is that okay?
Yep.
It is, right? Like, and of course, agents get upset about it, and I understand.
Well-
I've been in the street hooking and jabbing. Hell, I'm still in the street hooking
I think
and
the
jabbing.
biggest setback on that of why most sellers and even their realtors get upset is because most of our contracts have time is of the essence, and there are specific dates written in these
Yeah,
contracts. And the more time a seller takes,
Right, then you
to
got to
make
adjust that
decision,
date on the
correct.
back end.
Yeah. So I feel like I mean I tried, like I
Yeah.
said, educate
Yeah.
my clients, and I tell them if you're getting what you're asking for, or it's a multiple offer situation,
Yeah.
obviously take a couple days, think it over, discuss it amongst yourselves.
All right.
I don't want to be that pushing pressure point that pushes them or, into any specific direction. I want them to ultimately be happy with the offer they choose.
And and I think part of the problem there too is that we are coming out of a market where sellers have heard about all these multiple offers, and that is dissipated.
Right.
We still getting some multiple offers from time to time, but it's certainly not like we were getting, a year or two.
Well, and I know here we have our peaks
Yeah.
where it's really, really good. Obviously, we have the military town Camp Lejeune. So obviously
Right.
we have PCSEs.
Right.
That's a really big time
Super Bowl.
twice throughout the year. All right.
Sorry.
So we have discussed
I'm the back.
putting it on the market. We've discussed receiving offers. We've talked about negotiations. Now we're under contract. I know for our area, we have due diligence periods. I think there are other places that have them as well. I don't want to speak.
They're either
ignorantly
due
on-
diligence
yeah.
period or inspection period. Or
Yeah,
something
correct.
of that nature. Yeah.
So you have your inspections and your appraisals. And this is what everything has been building up to. You prepping the home, making sure it's clean, decluttered, repairs are done, upgrades are showing, they're reflecting, they're flashing, because you want this appraiser these inspectors to see these things.
Mhm.
So it makes the property look better.
Yes.
But please know too, if you have never sold your home before, a home inspector's job is to call anything and everything they see. It's the whole point of the process. Now, clearly, if you purchase the property, more than likely you should have had a home inspection. So you're
You learned
already
that
going to
lesson,
know.
didn't you?
You said what?
You learned that lesson.
Oh, I did. Yes.
What we
Personally, if
talked
you've
about
watched
last
one of the
time.
recent episodes, we just talked about that.
It's crazy. What was that agent's name again?
No, he tries every time. We're not going to do it. Maybe episode 87.
87. Hey, write that down, Terry. 87. Episode 87. Todd is gonna share the tea. Is that how you say that?
Maybe.
Yeah, share the
maybe.
tea. Is that what that's
Maybe.
called?
I don't even like tea.
No, the young people say share the tea.
I'm just joking. I do like tea.
Share the tea. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Okay.
Share the tea.
So aside from inspections and appraisal, now we get to the best part of it all. Closing,
Closing.
escrow closing.
Exciting time.
Depending on where you're at, I think they call it different things. And what is it? Callie calls it you're in escrow.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are always using that term escrow, but you really don't think
Well, you've got settlement and closing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and if
the attorneys have an escrow account where they
Right.
keep the money in escrow. So I guess it's the same.
But once all the inspections, everything is done, you and the buyer have seen eye to eye. Everyone is happy. Buyer is clear to close.
We've done a walkthrough inspection with your buyer and they have signed off that they accept the house at its current condition.
Correct.
Very important.
I feel like selling is a lot easier than buying because it's real quick and easy.
Listen,
Title work gets done by the closing attorney.
selling easier than buying. Yeah. Yeah, the selling process.
Well, I think in the closing process is easier for
Oh,
us.
yeah, you have one document to sign.
Yeah, you
like
do
two
seller documents.
That's
Super
it.
quick, 5 minutes.
in and
done.
out.
And then there's one last step.
Did you just say easy peasy?
Easy peasy.
Nice. Easy
Simple.
peasy.
What is the acronym? KISS? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yes. I think you just come.
Well, I'm not saying the sellers are not stupid, but I'm just saying keep it very simple. It doesn't have to be,
Yes.
doesn't have to be hard.
Or CAT. You ever heard of that?
What is that?
Cover your assets. With
There you go. I do remember that. Just not an acronym I use on a regular day basis. So after all of that is said and done, to me, I feel like there is one last step in the phases, and that's the handover phase.
Oh, the most exciting part.
That is.
Do that the trumpet sound again. What was that you made earlier? You get the keys, right? Here they are. Here's
So
it's like there's real estate agents outside the door going,
yeah. Or they take their photo and they've got the key in the new buyer's hand. But ultimately, once it's been recorded in your local deeds office, which by the way, all records are public
yes.
to everyone. So you should be able to access them at any time, but you hand over the keys, you're giving those to the buyers. You are now officially free. I like to say you're officially free of your home.
What do you think about that public records being public like that? With all the stuff that's going on with the public records,
I would
you
say
would think that they should build like some sort of an account. Like, because anybody could just go on Onzo County GIS and find out who lives where. They can look up the deeds.
but with technology being
Isn't
the
that
way that
crazy?
it is right
They can
now,
figure it
I
out
feel like
anyway.
they will. But I also like the idea too, because everyone thinks realtors are supposed to work 24/7, that we don't have lives as well. We do. We have families. We sometimes need a brain break, is what I like to call it. Maybe a 3-day brain break.
3 days,
Or, well,
4.
you know, but
I get
but at the
Yeah.
same time, I mean, I like that it's public knowledge that
Yeah.
you can just go in if you need it. You need it for insurance purposes.
Yeah,
You need it for
yeah,
your
that's true.
taxes. You have all that stuff readily available.
It's just interesting, right? That's a whole nother class, a whole nother podcast, right? Like safety and
Right.
like watching out for scammers and those kind of dangers.
But upon the handover phase, after you're passing over the keys, everything's recorded. Now you have to worry about taking care of your post-closing notifications. You want to make sure that you're contacting your homeowner's insurance company.
Yes.
So you're having these things turned off.
Yes.
Would you have them contact the mortgage company? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a smart thing to do. I mean, my real estate assistant, Carrie, she is an incredible person, man. And at the end of the closing, she actually sends an email to the clients to give them all of that reminder. It says, hey, call your insurance company. Here's a copy of your settlement statement to send to them so they know what date to stop the coverage. You need to call the utility companies, make sure
Yes.
utilities are out of your name, because those are things that can come back to bite you. And unfortunately, sometimes as realtors, we get so tied up if we don't have a really good system and process in place, we'll forget it. And then next thing you know, the people have paid utilities for the people in there for a month,
Well,
right?
just like you've hired us to list your home, other people have as well. So we do get tied up very
Yeah.
easily.
Hey, dude, that happened to me actually. I bought a house up in Cleveland. And when I checked into the property, whenever I bought it and closed on it, I started hanging out there. There was HOA dues, and I thought the HOA dues included the power.
Oh,
And for like 12 or 15 months, the power was on. And my buddy goes to stay at the place one night while he was downtown Cleveland. He goes, "Hey man, the power's out." I go, "You're crazy." Like the power's included in the HOA.
the
Turns
seller
out
finally had it turned
the
off.
seller fi-
Well,
well, they didn't pursue me, which they probably could have.
but that's a big thing too.
Yeah.
If you've already moved out of your home and it's currently vacant on the market for the next buyer, please make sure you turn that off because they may not be showing up to that home to
For
move
another
in
30 days.
or 3 months.
Yeah.
Some
Very
buyers
good
like
point.
to buy a home way in advance prior to getting to
Yeah,
that
yeah.
location. They don't have to run in.
It's just the little things, right? It's just
Right.
little details that when you're hiring a real estate agent, you want somebody with experience. You want somebody that has a staff working for them to take care of these little details.
I have a one right now. It closed 2.5 weeks ago. Buyers are not here yet. I mean, they should be arriving anytime soon, but that's the thing. Utilities are already turned
Do you
on.
go by and check on that property for
I
them
do.
from time to time?
I try to check it on at least twice a week.
Yeah.
Just
Wow. Twice
just
a week?
because, well, yes, I do. And
Is that your responsibility?
I do still consider that to be a part of my responsibility because not only that,
I don't. But I think that by you doing it and taking on that extra responsibility, that is an additional service that you provide
absolutely.
that
Yep,
person.
I agree.
So when I say I don't, it definitely doesn't fall within what you're supposed to do because at the closing, what does that mean? It's already closed, right?
Mhm.
That is the end of our agency relationship. I
But
don't have a fiduciary anymore. There has been
my
the closing.
I will always, I think,
Yeah.
keep tabs and
Of
check with my
course.
clients throughout because that's obviously
That's relationship
it
based
is.
selling.
You built
They're
that
going to
rapport.
remember that,
Yep.
that, hey, this guy went to my house 2 or 3 times. And so when that cute little agent shows up and they are dressed really nice and they're have this great bubbly personality and they're younger and more handsome, they're going to be like, get out of here, dude.
You
Forget
know
out
what
here.
got me
This is
into
my
doing
guy.
it?
This is my guy. My guy looked at this house for
Yeah.
3 weeks. And then, by the way, he called me every month.
What got me into doing it twice a week, and there are some times where it may be once a week.
Yeah.
But was I had a listing I went to go and just go do a check on it. The whole
Water.
driveway was covered in water.
Oh,
And I
God.
looked, and apparently the water heater had popped, and the garage had 4 inches of water in it. And it was seeping out the sides of the garage
At
door.
least it was the garage, not inside the house.
But at the
Oh,
same time, that falls on the utility company too, because if they start seeing that meter spiraling, they should have immediately shut it off.
one of my home flippers had that same situation once. Uh, I go to the house to check on it, and I hear this obscene noise. I'm like, that don't sound right. And there's a notice on the door that says, "We tried to turn your water on, but it, the meter kept going." Well, I go in the house, and there's water everywhere in this bathroom. It's like spraying up. It's soaked the ceiling. It's getting all
Wow.
over me. So I got to go out to the road, turn the thing off. But why didn't the utility company do it? The utility company actually ended up being liable for that situation
Well, as they should have been.
because the nut job went up there, posted the thing, and never turned the thing off. He said, "Hey, this thing's running," but he didn't. He posted on their door and left.
So reason behind these stories is to remind sellers that you should be making sure that you were taking care of these post notifications,
Yes.
turning off utilities, contacting these companies, because they also may have a check for you. That check may get mailed to you.
Who?
Look, I know whenever I closed
Oh,
on
the
my
mortgage
first home,
company? Oh,
my
yeah.
homeowner's insurance, I still had money left in my escrow. They
For
cut me
sure.
checks
Yeah.
right to me in 3 weeks.
That's important.
So you have extra money sitting there.
Just take care of it. It takes extra 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Take care of it. Day of closing, because it is something that you could just kind of
Yeah.
get into the everyday life stuff and forget.
Well, and I know that there's probably other steps within the process that some other realtors may think or use or implement within their process.
Yeah.
So please be sure to leave feedback and comment what you guys do as well. But I think that pretty much covers
Yeah.
the listing to closing process. Would you say so?
the complete home selling process. I think we went through it from
agree.
top to bottom. And, there's thousands of other points that could be made. And we could do this podcast.
Oh,
We can do
could
this
go on.
podcast every week for the whole year and still not cover all of the ups, downs, ins, and outs of the home selling process.
Yeah.
Or as we refer to it, the complete home selling process.
yes.
So I think that's another great episode of the Real Estate Playground. I think that's
I do. So if you like
a wrap.
anything that you guys heard today, please make sure that you are liking, commenting, giving us feedback. We'd love to hear from you. We appreciate all of you guys and the support.
Anyway, you guys have a great time, and we'll see you next week with the Real Estate Playground.
See you later.